Hi there! Today I'm very excited to show you DawForge, the natural evolution of flow from artificial harmonics, a project which I started 10 years ago and has been used by hundreds of composers to simplify their workflow. Let's say that you have spent years, and let's be honest also, a small fortune, building a sample collection of sample libraries, but you feel like you have lost control. You can remember which library has that good sultasto articulation, and you keep on editing expression maps and rebuilding the same orchestral template for the 100th time. We all pass through that. So DawForge is built around 4 ideas. The search, to actually find what you own. The maps, to build expression maps instantly and to store them. They can be created for both Cubase and Logic. And then you have the templates to create your template skeleton in just minutes, and flow to switch articulation live while you write it, and much more. Is a controller actually that allows you to control Cubase session through Chrome. The template and flow are only available for Cubase as from now, but investigations are being done whether other digital audio workstation will allow to build the same features. Every composer sample collection grows into the same problem. You own so much that you can't remember what you've got. The DawForge search fixes that. It's your entire sample world in just one place. Every library, every patch, every articulation, instantly searchable. Here is the part that makes it special, and it's worth pausing on before even touching the search bar. Beyond DawForge sits a knowledge base of thousands of sample libraries, from all the most known vendors, mapped down to the individual patch and articulation. This isn't just your collection, it's a catalog of the whole landscape, free to explore. And because no catalog this big is ever perfect, the knowledge base is curated with the community. Spot something wrong, a mislabeled articulation, a missing patch, flag it in a click. Or do you own a library that is not there yet? Request it, and it goes straight to the DawForge librarians to add. The more composer will use it, the sharper and more complete it gets for everyone. Now let's move on with the search bar. Let's now see how to explore the knowledge base using the search bar. Type a term, hit enter, and it will become a chip. I will search, for example, pizz, that stands like for pizzicato. You will see the content is being loaded there, and I can even search more, like tremolo. Even like this, tremolo. And then now what you will see, it will return actually the full content of all the knowledge base filter by pizzicato or tremolo. What does it mean? Here you will only see libraries where there is a patch that at least has both of them. Let's also clear that search and let's see what you have on the left side. Here, as you can see, you can filter by vendors. These are all the ones that today are already added. You can filter by domain, orchestral, cinematic, synth, band, word, or vocal. You can filter by family. You can filter by instruments. Here you can type whatever you want. Give me the example of the flute. I want that contrabass flute library. Who has it? Yeah, here you got it. Or even by sample player, like for example, if you just want something that is only for contactful. So as we saw before, whatever I write something, so for example here now I will search for the typical something a viola. As I write something here, you will see that there are suggestions that comes in that case. Of course, those are really name of articulations that came out of the libraries, but it's just not that, because if I write even just pizzicato, it doesn't just find anything that is pizzicato. It will also find libraries which, for example, have been named like pizz or some exotic other type of names. So the search is intelligent. It's just not about the text. Also, with a search, you can start writing something like this, viol, and then you will see you can search for libraries, you can search for an instrument or an articulations. So of course, depending on what you click, you will get the content in the search. One other important thing is that when you search for something, let's come back to the example of, well, maybe let's write another one like aleatoric. Let's search for aleatoric articulations. So what you can see here is that you will see that library, it tells that it found that. But actually what you see here in the result of the search is just the content of that library which just matched to what we have found here. So you can see here already that we searched for aleatoric, but here there is not aleatoric in the text. So this is a smart search. It knows that those ones are somehow linked to aleatoric, so you can see them. And then whenever you open the library, the card will fully expand. And now you will be able to see the full content of the library, where you will see, what has been matched in the before and the rest. So it's a very smart search, and at any time you can always go and see more of that library. But this is the knowledge base. The key things here is like, you can make this yours. So for example, let's say here that now I want to find mostly something from orchestral domain. The first one that comes up, I will just click on this button, and this means that now I'm declaring that I own this library. So as you can see from here on the top, you have show libraries, you have all, but you also have owned. So that means that now you can click here and you will only see your libraries. So that means that all the search and everything is now filtered to only what you have. But of course, when you have a big sample library, you don't want to do them one by one. Luckily, we thought about that. And so we built a tool, which is called the DawForge Assistant. What this tool is about, actually, just a disclaimer, for now it only works for Windows. And when you download it, be aware it will tell you that it's not safe just because there is not yet a certificate, but you can download it safely. So when you download it, after you download it, you will be able to scan your entire hard disk looking for libraries. Let's look how it goes. So first of all, you need to authorize this device because there is a communication which is done through HTTPS and certificates. So the data is shared safely. And then actually you can see that the Forge Assistant opens. It says scan complete, and here it is. Look at that. That's the result of all the matching. He said that he found 97 libraries that will be added to your collection. And this just by scraping my content. So you can see, for example, all the ones, and you can see that it automatically matched the libraries based on a fast logic. For example, look, this one is declared like Amber, but then he says, for me this is like Amber down-tuned string quartet with a 35% of certitude. Do you agree? And then you just leave it like that if you agree. Otherwise, you are able to change it. But of course, sometimes you won't be able to find any matching. So if you go to unmatched here, you will be able to see the ones that he was not able to find a matching for. So HZ strings, yeah, we know very well, this is Hans Zimmer strings. So I can go and I can map it myself. All the others are not there. This is a legacy ones. This is just a duplicate, so I don't need to make it. But this one, for example, why I didn't find it? Because it has a subtle different name. And then this one, additional instrument. So there are two, actually, one from brass and one for woodwind. So, but they have the same name. So now they are matched. And now I can go and say, well, it found 100 libraries. I can add them. And you will see it added actually 98 because 2 were just duplicate. But now when I go and I open library and I'm in the owned toggle here, that's my entire sample library. So stop guessing what I have. Now I can go there and say, for example, group them by vendor. And you can see everything that you have by vendor, or maybe group them by family. And I can see everything that I have by family, or even group by domain, which in my case is mostly going to be everything orchestral. But let's come back to like group known. One thing's also important here is that you can now start to curate your sample library. For example, imagine that you want to say, this one is one I like. This also is one that I like. This one, I'm just like hitting random buttons, right? All right, so then when I go to my owned, you can see here there is another button that says start. So I can now see all the libraries that I own, but that I also love. So easily I can find them. And on the other side, I can also click here on these things here that says unowned. So this is like all the libraries that I don't have and maybe I would like to have. So you can easily like bookmark them like this. And then when you go to the wish list, you will see them. And you know, those are like libraries that maybe one day you want to buy. Wrapping up on this, you have your own library. So now if I'm looking for that specific instrument, which I don't know, is like a piccolo trumpet, which I love there. And then you say, okay, which libraries that I own have a piccolo trumpet? There you are. And then you say, but yeah, and which one that I own also has trills in it? Yeah, actually both of them they have. And you see the smart things. You search trills, but it's finding both trills and trill. It's just not a search text. This is a smart search. Another cool feature that you can do here, so let's reset the filter, is that you can always like show them, display them by cards or like row. I mean, it's a small things, but sometimes you just want to see it in a different way. Okay, now let me show you one cool things. As I told you before, so we are gonna talk about maps. How do you create maps? First of all, the maps, you need to declare what's your primary DAW when you onboard here, or you can also do it just simply from the preferences here. You can see you are a Cubase Logic or you are a Logic Pro user. So in that case, I'm hitting Cubase. So now what happens is that when I go to own library, if I click here, I can see this button here that say map. What does this mean? It means something very nice actually. It means that as we already know everything that is inside this library, if you just click map here, you might want to create that map. So create it, and what will happen is that it will create the entire expression map for the Cubase completely in one click, and you can see everything is already there. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, long, short, legato, runs. You can see, you can edit everything, of course. So you can just click and you change it whatever you want. There is also these nice things. You can also add like, for example, for the short, you can add the symbol. For the runs, I'm just hitting buttons like that. I mean, and then this will be pick in Cubase. You can have groups. You can have what people calls the negative delay. So you can put it here and you can say the legato has 100 milliseconds of negative delay, and then this is the separation delay. This is something that probably not everybody uses, but it's in the expression map. As you can see also, the negative delay, you got already number here, but those numbers are just heuristic, so those are not the real one, but they already give you a good like base to start with. You can choose whether you want to use multiple groups or just like one single group that will be called default, or maybe you can change it as you want. And then you can decide how the expression map will be triggered by an external controller, which the default is with CC starting from 0. And you can also decide how you want to, how does this trigger inside the VST. So let's suppose that you have a VST where you know that your output will, so that it starts mapping with CC. So here, what you can do is, as you can see, you can say, okay, my first, it will be CC starting from 20, or maybe, I don't know, from 28. So you do, and you apply the rule. But let's imagine, for example, now you want key switches, and then you want this key switches starting from 12, right? So I'm gonna do like this, and then you can see it will automatically apply my rule here. So telling that the first one will be triggered by the C-1, C sharp, D1, D sharp -1, and on and on. And you can change that. You can do like with key switches, with program changes, or with CC. So it gives you completely freedom of building your maps. You can also shuffle them. Like for example, I will take the last and put it before, and look what happens. As soon as I shuffle them, it tells me, you have two rules which have diverged, so you need to rerun to sync. So now it's like 0, 1, 3, 2, which is wrong. And also look here, C sharp, D, that's wrong. But no problem. You just click run all and it's done. The same will apply like if you remove one line, you rerun, and now you got it right. Now, of course, the whole things of this is that you can download that map. If you want, you can download it and you can import it inside Cubase. But you will see over also with the templates, there is another ways to use them. Link to patch, it's actually a way to tell that this map is Albion 1 Woods Low. This is automatically done when you create the maps from the patch, but eventually, if you like imported a map, you can still link it to any of them. And now I can save. And when I save them, here we are, they go into the page of the expression map, where you can see one expression map is there. You can select it, you can remove it, you can download it, you can do whatever you want. Another way to do maps is by importing them. It might be that you already have a lot of map yourself. So instead of creating of them, you just want to use them. So there is a flow here that allows you to do that. You do just choose files. You select all the maps you want. In that case, I'm taking 4. You will start the import. It will tell us, okay, I found so much articulations in each of them. You say, okay, import. Now they are getting created. And as soon as they are created, it tells you link them. What does it mean, links? It means that you want to link, you want to know that maps is for that library. This is super important metadata that we are creating in DawForge. That is what makes the difference. Those maps are not just XML files. They have content with them. And as you can see, it will propose you already something. It says, look, now your map is called OBBR, bass trombone, and then it says, for me, it's the Orchestral Tour Berlin Brass. Are you agree? Do you agree? And then you just say, yes, next. As you can see, it's very smart. It's finding all of them. How does it do it? It uses a fuzz logic algorithm that check the content of the map with the content of the knowledge base and automatically suggest the right one for you. So now when you go to maps, you can see you have all of them here and they are all linked. So if you want, you can also say, for example, group them by vendor, group them by library, or even group them by instrument. And now you can see how many maps do you have for each of the defined group. Another way to create maps is by creating them from nothing. It can happen that you have a very specific library that maybe you only yourself have, or maybe you are testing something out yourself, very experimental. No worries. So you can just do it here. You go in here, you write whatever you want. And I'm just doing something like that. So you can add all the rows they want, all the rows you need, and that's it. And then you save it. But be aware that whatever you save that one, when you come back here, you will see that this is not linked. It says link to a patch. So you can clearly also see from here on the top, what are the maps that are not yet linked to any libraries, or the ones that are already linked. And when you have a lot of them which are not linked, you can just click on this auto link button and it will try to link them to things that you have. Of course, here is suggesting nothing because that was a very exotic situation, non-existing one. And actually, so as you can see, it becomes super easy to create maps, to store maps, because then now you have a place where actually you can have all of them, and you can search them, you can change them, and I will show you also now how you are supposed to use them to build your templates. And now let's talk about the templates. So the templates here, consider them like a template skeleton. It's not a full template. So what you are gonna define in Flow is the structure of the instruments, how they are inside your template. Of course, you don't have here anything which is related to the VST or the routing or the mix and mastering, the grouping, but you have that core part where actually you define all the instruments, all the tracks that you are gonna have, and the expression maps that is associated with them. Starting from now, what you see, it's only working for Cubase Pro. But we are looking currently at how to make this work also for other digital audio workstations. So the concept is simple. You go to templates here, you create a new template, and then here you can start a new one or import a template. Let's look first at the start a new one. So as you can see from here, what you have on the left side, you have the full view of all the libraries that you own. Of course, you can create templates only for libraries that you own. On the right side, you will see is the template we are building. Let's suppose here that we want to build a template where we want to have starting with strings. So here you can see I filter with strings, and it shows here all the different libraries that I own related to strings. And what I can do is that I can choose one of them. For example, you can see from here Albion 1, it says there is one map already created here. So then I can open it. I can see that Wood's Law had already one. So I'm gonna add this. Of course, here we filter the strings, but of course Albion 1 has also woodwinds. But when actually I close this, it just shows what matches the search. But when I open it, it shows all the content of the library. But continuing all, I might say, okay, I want also to add the brass high. I want to add these strings and strings coarse concertino. And then eventually I will add more. But to make it simple, what you can see now is that every time that you click add, it was added on the right side. And what you see on the right side is how you are building your template. And now you see we have mostly 2 per each section. Maybe what I miss, I will say, okay, I also need to work with some percussion. So I will take just some, you know what, maybe let's also do the following. Forever I'm gonna percussion, I say, I need a timpani. So I will say timpani here, and I will add the one, for example, from the Berlin Orchestra. So I will open it. Here it is, add it. And also Waya xylophone. So as you can see here, we have built this template on the right side. So of course this should be matching the need for your music. But in this case, it's just like 2 different tracks per section. The first things on top that you can see here is that you can decide how to group them inside Cubase. You can group them by section, which is by default, or you can group them by library. Be aware, all these things will become a folder track in Cubase, and this becomes like tracks that you can decide if they will need to be an instrument track or a MIDI track. The difference is that if you make it an instrument track, you will then need to add the VST inside Cubase. If you make it a MIDI track, you will route it towards an existing instrument. So it's your choice. Of course, then you can also do by vendor. So let's go back to the section, which is the basic one. You can also say inside the group, order them by canonical ordering, which means actually automatically it assigns the ordering how they will be in a normal score, or alphabetically, or by library. Or you can even say, just I will sort it out manually. So you can click here, and now you can just completely change the order of the content as you want. And then you can start to assign maps. As you remember, for some of these maps, there was already an expression map, for some not. So what we will do is that here we will say assign maps, and now it will iterate over each of the tracks there and ask me to add a map. As you can see, I have 3 options: saved maps, upload one, or create one from library. I will not do the create from library for now, so let's say I'm gonna restart here, assign maps. So the first track is Wood's Law from Albion 1. And then as you can see here, automatically it suggests me, hey, wait, you already have one that is for that. So you can just click on it and it will be automatically assigned. But for the other, as you can see, it's not suggesting anything. So those are also the other maps. So in that case, I don't have the map, I already know. So I'm gonna create it, and it will create it automatically based on the content. And I will need to go like this for all the other ones, because I think I don't have a map already created for the others. So as you can see, it has automatically created the maps, the expression maps for all those libraries there. And the cool thing is that from here you can just click and say inline editor and you can visualize them. So if you remember, that's the one we created where we disabled that track, as you can see from here. All the others are here. Sorry, I should say inline editor. And then you can see, so for example, these are all the tracks, these are all the triggers, and this is like the CC, which triggers the map itself. You have to know that most of these things is created out of standard information, so you might need to change something when you create them. Now that I have my template, so I can just give it a name and save it. And when it is saved, then you will see it from this page here of templates. So you can see my template. So I can go there, I can click it. Here you will be able to visualize the content of your template, how it's gonna be built. And then you can see here also on the right side the expression maps and the articulation for each of the track in your new template. Another thing that is important is that you can define articulations, preferred articulations. So with the star, I'm here, I say, I mostly use the longs, I use the long shorts and the legato. So then actually you will be able also to just filter here, but you will see that better in Flow. From here, you can always go back and edit the template. So if I now go here, I will load the template, is there, and I can make changes, but all the content of the data is there. Let's do another thing. I'll show you another one. So you can start a new template that you want to import from another one that is already existing. So here you can click on import template. You can select the previous template that we just created. You can say what is that you want to take into this new one, and there it is. Now you have created your soup template. So you can manage really your big template with smaller templates and everything. All the information is managed here. Another way to create templates is by importing them. So you just don't, sometimes you have already, of course you have already your template. So what you can do is in Cubase, just do a track archive of the templates with the data that you want. And then here, when you do new template, you will just do import template. You will choose a file. You will open, and now you say, okay, parse it. So what it will do, it will read the track archive that you exported from Cubase. It will do the parsing. It will find like if it's okay or if there are some problems, and it will say, I found 25 tracks with 19 different instruments and 14 embedded maps. So everything is taken in actually. Also the VST data of the template is taken in and preserved. So now you can save it. And finally it will ask you, okay, it's a new template. So let's start to map those tracks to the knowledge base. And again here, it's very smart, because it will say, okay, in this case, so I know that I need to use this one. And when it's done, you can now see that all the maps have been mapped to a library in the knowledge base, and each of them have expression maps. And these are the ones that actually were imported from the track archive of Cubase. Let's now do something nice, something cool. So let's come back to our template that we built, and let's say here, download the track archive. And let's see how this is imported in Cubase. Okay, so what we did is that we just downloaded a track archive, and now we will go and we will do, so import track archive. So here it is. Here it comes the window. As you can see, everything we created in Flow is there. You will do import, and here we go. Actually, the track archive has been imported. All the project is there, and as you can see, all the expression maps, they are there. Exactly how we define them. Of course, like I said, there is not yet VST instrument, so you will need to add it yourself in the project. And then when you add it, you can always re-import it inside Flow so that you have the versions that has the VST in it. So now what can we do with that? Coming back to our template here, we can click on the button Play in Flow. This is actually what transforms the DawForge into a live tool that communicates with Cubase through MIDI, through MIDI actually on the web. So if I go here with Play in Flow, first of all, you can say it will ask me if I okay in giving access to MIDI devices. So I will say allow. Second, so very important, you need to have you need to have like the ports defined. In this case, it's called here DawForge bridge port. Everything, all that is like defined in the documentation. And then here you have a message that says your Cubase bridge is set up for a different template. So what it means, every time that you install a new template, you need to install the communication with Cubase. But this is very, very simple. It happens with just a few clicks. So no need to download files or to build anything. So what you will see here, when you click on the button Connect Cubase, there is a window that tells you how much action do you want to build inside the template. In this case, it's a small template. So you can see that here, even if we add all of them, the latency here becomes, it's very okay, like 1 millisecond estimate. But be aware, you could, for example, be working with a template of 2000 tracks. What this bridge does is that it creates a project logical editor, and it installs them inside Cubase. So the more you have, the more you could find some lag. So in that case, if you have like a super big template, maybe you might want to remove the hide actions or the show actions to make sure that the project still stays cool and it doesn't lag. So it's once in this case, as I said, it's a small project, so we can have all the actions also, that's so that we can show everything how it works. Then I will click on the button install. So let's click, and now the first things is that we need to give him the MIDI remote folder, which is there, and then you say select folder, and then the next one that we need to give him is the user presets project logical editor, select folder. And now that he had the two folders, he's actually creating and installing the necessary files inside Cubase. It tells, as you can see, bridge plus presets were correctly installed. But be sure that you refresh the MIDI remote in Cubase. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So it's very simple. You go to Studio Setup, and then here, as you can see, you have MIDI remote. You go to Open MIDI Remote Manager, and then here you will just click on this reload scripts. You will see that it gets disconnected and connected again. And then here we can come back here, and we say done. You don't need to download the track archive. We already did it. Now you can see the message is gone. And now you can see that wherever I click on something here, automatically it reflects inside Cubase, DawForge. So it does on two ways. From Cubase to DawForge, what happens is that every selection here is reflected in DawForge, showing the expression map and showing the track which is actually selected. But there is also communication on the other side, because if I now, for example, click on this one here, I send sessions, so you can see that I can click there, and you can see that the expression map is changing in Cubase. So it means that every time that I work in Cubase, I can just very easily change the expression map. So consider that DawForge is an app that you can keep like on your laptop, on a touch screen, or I will show you also how you can connect it with your mobile phone. So it's a kind of third screen that you will use that is disconnected from Cubase, but still allows you to communicate with Cubase. It's not only about expression map too. because there is a very okay. Let me just put that bigger, yeah, like that. So there is an important one also, that is the filtering, the visibility. That is something that today is very hard to do in Cubase, especially when you have a big template. Let's suppose that here you say, I want to actually solo French horn. If I click this button here, it says go to this track in Cubase. It will, when you click here, you can see it's selected in Cubase. So that's already a cool feature. But also the big one is like, if you click the second button here, it says show only this track. It will actually hide everything in Cubase except then this track. And if you are click on the next one, it will show this track, so you can incrementally work on the visibility of the tracks. And the same, if you hide, you can click on the hide here. Of course, you have also like a big action here, like show all or hide all, that works on the entire set of tracks. Another key feature here is that you can click on vendor, library, section, and instruments, and you can do exactly the same type of filtering. So in your large template, for example, you say, I want to see everything which is about strings. So you click here, and you can see automatically the two tracks which we know are linked to strings will appear. And then you say, show me also the French horn. So here you see, and this is not just based on the name. Actually, this is based on the metadata. It's based on the fact that we know that exactly that track is linked to that library that has that specific instruments. So therefore, you can also do it with the section, show me only percussion, show me only woodwinds, or you can do it with the library, show me only that library, or Albion 1, whatever it is, or just like that with the vendor. So it's like empowering what you can do in Cubase. You cannot do those type of things in Cubase with a normal search. And so what you can do here, you can see you can generate a QR code which you can scan with your mobile phone or a tablet or whatever. And you can see what you have here is that depending on the track which is selected in Cubase, you will be able to switch articulation. And as you can see, they also do switch inside Cubase. Imagine this one can be your screen, your floating screen or touch screen, or your mobile phone that you put close to your keyboard and that you can use it at any time. Lastly, I want to talk about AI. So sometimes it might be that you need a boost. And so here you can see that you have a chatbot where you can initiate any chat and you can ask things about either about your libraries or just the full libraries. For example, here, help me choose the right strings and brass libraries to write an horror cue. Yeah, they must be playing well together and have spooky sounds. Here we go. So as you can see, it's suggesting me a few libraries. It's so this one, you can read all the content. It's like interesting because most of the time he has some interesting results. And of course from here you can always like go, and if you click there, you will be able to show it inside the content, and so you can be able to explore everything. Be aware that this consumes tokens, so it's an extra feature. If you want really to use it, you will need to buy some tokens because this is based on AI. But everything except from that, there is no other need for the tokens. Everything is already as described in the plans and the tires. Alright, so to wrap up, that's DawForge. As we said, it's a knowledge base where you can build your sample libraries, where you can create maps from instantly, where you can build your template skeleton, and where actually you can control your Cubase session through the Flow app. It's a new tool and it's evolving like every day, so feel free to join the community, find the right tire that works for you. For example, if you don't need the Cubase part or if you need it, There are really different options for subscriptions. And yeah, we are really looking forward to hear the feedback of the community to make this even better and better every